Okay folks, welcome back. This is Steve, and we have Commodore 64 number 8. Number 8 was sent in by Mr. Don Diagidio. Again, sitting it down off camera so I don't hurt myself with it. And we diagnosed it on the live stream, and the link is over there, up there, in that corner, somewhere over there, for the live stream where we did the diagnosis of 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is number 8. Number 8 is being repaired in this video. There's only two things wrong with it. The PLA is bad. We got a replacement PLA from Dr. Dave. Dr. Dave's channel is up there also. And we have a bad U11. U11 is RAM. So we will put some RAM in it, and we will put a PLA in it, and we will hope that that is all of it. So stick around. Oh, and that like, comment, subscribe, join, all that fantastic stuff that helps make the channel grow and keeps more retro computer action happening on YouTube down below. It'll make you happy. Thanks. See you after the break. All right, machine number 8. According to my notes, this has a bad PLA, and we still have the second PLA that we got for this repair job from Dr. Dave. Thank you, Dave. And it has a bad U11, and U11 is down around here somewhere, and it's a RAM chip. So we'll get the heatsink / RF shield out of the way, and you can see this has that SFD 1001 modification on it as well, which goes all under the board and everything, but it's supposed to just go out the back to hook onto some magic that we'll get into later on. U11 is this one here that is marked, and the PLA is, I believe it goes up here in this one. It's a 250425, but I will double check that for very obvious reasons before I plug it in, because it probably goes down here on this board. I don't know. We will figure that out when we get there. U11 is a RAM chip, so I have some leftover RAM chips from working on one of these machines before, and I have a socket. So I think the first thing that we need to do is figure out which one the PLA goes into and get it tested out on the monitor and see if that solved the problem or if we need to continue working on the problem. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so I was right. U17 is down here, U18 is up here, U17 is where the PLA goes. So let's take our plankton and notch up, put it into U17, and then let's take it over and plug it into the screen. And if there's anything to show you when we get over there, I will readjust all the cameras and show you, and if not, I will just bring it back and start desoldering. Okay fellers, I got good news, I got bad news. I took it over, I plugged it into the screen, and nothing. Not even a black screen, nothing. So we take it a step farther and bring it back to the bench, and we brought the keyboard with us and the power supply and the screen connector and everything, and we turn it on and we get an LED. So that's working, but no picture on screen. So now we need to start figuring out, troubleshooting, seeing what's going on here. Where do we go from here? Well, the dead test cartridge will work with just about all of the chips removed, but we're not getting even a black screen. So we need to dig a little bit into the why aren't we getting a black screen issue. So let's start getting after that. Okay, so check some obvious stuff just to get it out of the way. We've got our trusty multimeter here, and what I'm going to do is connect to ground. Well, first I'm going to turn it on. And we've got a light on the chip there. We have the light on the keyboard that I showed earlier. Let's check the 12-volt regulator. We have 26.3 volts in, and we have 11.92 volts out. On the 5-volt regulator, we have 13.3 in, and we have 5 volts out, and on the fuse, switch to beep mode, turn it back off. For continuity test, the fuse works, which we kind of figured it did because the voltage regulators work as well. So that's not it. We got that taken care of and out of the way. The next thing to do is start removing some chips. It could be a bad VIC chip or it could be a bad CPU. So the first thing I'm going to do is swap the VIC, but I already have a nice little positive check mark on there. So I don't know that that's it. Let me go find another VIC chip and we'll try that. One of the best things you can have when you're troubleshooting anything is a spare. And this is my 60 clone, which is full of spares. So we have in this machine here a 6567R8, and I'm going to replace it with a 6567R9 and see if that does the trick. So, trusty chip lifter in hand. Let's lift the chippa. I just love this 60 clone board. All right, the old one out and the new one in. Let's see if that fixed it. And we still have a black screen. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the old VIC because that didn't make a difference. One thing at a time, folks. I'm going to try changing out the CPU this time. And we have a 24th week of 84 6510, and this is a 23rd week of 83 6510. And we all know that older is better. All right, new CPU, old VIC, no change. Okay, that was the obvious stuff. And just so I'm not chasing my tail around here, I'm going to take the VIC out and put it into the 60 clone and verify that it does work over there. Very fine precision cosmetic surgery. Okay. Unplug the power, unplug the video, switch over to this one here. Alright, so we have the processor from machine number 8, and we have the VIC from machine number 8. And it went in sideways. Let's unsideways it. And we have booted. 64K RAM system, 38911 bytes free. So both of those chips are fine, so that is not the issue. Let's switch out the PLA while we're here. Not that I suspect that it's an issue, but might as well, because I think this PLA worked in that machine. And this is not a PLA symptom. But we're here, let's do it. And U17 and U18 are swapped in location on this board from the other board because this is a 250407. So PLA and boot. 64K RAM system, 38911 bytes free. So now we know the PLA is good and the CPU is good and the VIC is good. So it's got to be something else. So we will swap these back. Plankton back in U17. And just in case you were curious, it has U17 written right on it, so can't make that mistake. VIC back in the VIC socket, and that is one pin off. I got excited. Everything's in there good. CPU back in the CPU socket. Plug it back in. Verify that it is still broken. And it is still broken. So in my pile of spares, another thing that I have is a spare 8701. So let's play with that because we can. That's a very, very cheap socket. Oh, we got a black screen, but no boot. Okay, we're gonna put this in the questionable bin. All right, making progress at least. And you know what? I've got the dead test cartridge in here and that takes a minute to boot. I'm just being impatient still. Check RAM. Yep, that's very hot. And both of these two are actually pretty hot. And these are all MT RAM chips. So let's get after that. Okay, so we're at the point now where we have replaced the 8701 and we have verified that the VIC and the CPU work fine, and we've got a working Plankton in here. So let's go ahead and move forward with the U11 replacement, because that chip is getting fairly hot, and see what kind of progress we make on that front. Alright, all set on the removal front. Let's get the install front done. Check our work. Looks good. Solder at home. Alright, let's give it a go. Power in. Video in. LED light in, because that's kind of, well, no, let's try without that first. Let's do power on. Black screen, and nothing more than a black screen, because we don't have that RAM chip in, but that's okay. Is the dead test going to notice that it's dead and missing? Nothing changed there. Okay, let's get a known good RAM chip. Power on. Nothing. Okay, next chip up. That one's not hot anymore, that's good. That one's pretty warm. And that one's stupid hot. So this one next. Alright, we got it undone on the back side. This one was a little bit of trouble getting it undone. Let's see how it comes out on the front side. Alright, there is miscreant number 2. Let's get that cleaned up a bit. So, flux remover. Looks very good on that side. Let's do this side while we're at it. Had a phone call, and we all know who that was. So let's get back to soldering this stuff down. It's almost like there's no metal left on this side of this pin, but it's not connected to anything on this side of the board either, so that should still be okay. As long as we get enough metal, enough solder through to the other side. Let's double check it on the front side. Okay. Alright, now we need another good RAM chip. So let's grab another good RAM chip. Okay, we need AV. And we need AC. And a little DC too. Okay, let's power it up. Black screen. Dead test cartridge in, no blinking, no progress. I mean, this is MT RAM. I might be better off just replacing all of it. Alright, this one's next. Alright, got those all cleaned up. They look pretty good. Let's get another socket in there. Running out of sockets here. Another good RAM chip. Power. Video. Black screen. Since the rest of this stuff is in sockets too, before I go too much farther on getting rid of stuff, because there isn't much hot left, I'm going to start pulling out stuff that I know the dead test cartridge doesn't need in order to boot, which is all of the ROMs and all of the CIAs and the SID. The SID's already out, obviously, because you can see that it's missing. On. Black screen. No blinky. Let's get one of those fancy multimeters with a heat sensor on it. So it's 2 more to go. Let's get those off. Okay, out with the old and in with the new. 1, 2. Alright, power and video. And we have black screen, but nothing else. Okay, so I left it running for some time, and this one is definitely hot, so that's the next one to come off. I may or may not wind up replacing all of the RAM on this machine. I don't know. I think I've said that before. If you open up a case and it's got nothing but MT RAM, you probably should just replace it. So maybe that's where we'll get with this. I don't know. Alright, let's keep on keeping on. Power up. Black screen. No flashes. Nothing. Oh, I see another thing. This is a MOS branded 74 series logic chip, and those are known to go bad. Now let's see, what is that supposed to be? U27? That's supposed to be a 74 LS08. Oh wait, we do have something on the screen now, but it is the wrong color. And let's see what U27 is. Okay, so as you can see from the dead test cartridge screen, first off, the colors are a little wonky. So that's an issue with the color RAM, and it says that the color RAM is bad. And the color RAM is U6, this one right here. I do have a socketed version. Oh, that's pretty hot too. I do have a socketed version that I can shove in there, and then it's also saying that U9, U21, and U22 are bad. So U21 we already replaced, U22 we have not replaced, and U9 we have replaced. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to move these around and see if that problem moves. And if the problem moves, then it's something else. And if the problem doesn't move, then it's something else. I don't know. But it's diagnostics, and diagnostics are fantastic. There's still a couple of other things that we are suspicious of. So now, if you guys were paying attention to the switcheroo, I took these 2 chips and swapped them for these 2 chips, even though I did it in a roundabout way. So let's try that boot up again and see what happens. Okay, I'm running it through the test. There was no change on that. So we're going to suspect color RAM, and that's the black one. That's not going to do me any good. This is the silver one. We're going to suspect color RAM, and we're going to suspect this one right here, the 74 LS08 that goes in U27. So I'm going to get those 2 removed, and then sockets, and then swaps, and see what happens. Nice. That's how you know it's quality. The chip breaks. I mean, we know how fragile these circuit traces are on this thing, but to have the chip itself break is just a little weird. Okay, well that chip was definitely bad. This is a Texas Instruments chip going in place of a MOS chip. That's a beefy chip. That one's like double thick. And then this one is a pull from another old machine. Now let's put that in, make sure that's off. Video. And where'd the power cable go? There it is, power cable. Power in. Let's try it. Black screen. All right, we have color. And we're doing the test. Okay, so on a whim, I put the kernel ROM and the character ROM and the basic ROM, and I'm not pointing to them in the right order, but I put them back into the machine and booted it up without the dead test cartridge, and it booted into a nice blue screen and told me all the RAM was good. So then I put the dead test cartridge back in and booted up, and this is what we got. It went through a successful test pattern. So I'm going to put the CIAs in, I'm going to put the SID in, and I'm going to try and see if I can get sound working, and we will keep on keeping on. So CIAs, and these are in need of some massaging to get them back into the right order, and that pin is bent. Put that in place. Let's get a SID out. There we go. And this is 26th week of 84, and I don't know whether it works or not. I think this is the SID that came out of this machine, and I pulled it out right away because I could. I didn't want to do any damage to the SID. All right, so we've got everything back in place. Let's see what we can do about audio. Hang on. Oh yeah. All right, the Song of My People has been played. Now I want to check the 8701 because we replaced that, but we didn't know whether that was good or bad. See if I can find it. There we go. That is it again. And let's get that swapped out. I guess what I want to do is I want to do a before and after. Well, it's not going to come on if I don't have the power cable plugged in now, is it? Alright, we're on. And we have basic. Okay, so now let's swap this chip out and see what it looks like with the other chip. Nothing. Okay, so that's bad also. All right, now we know definitively that that is bad. And that was just dumb luck that I had one of those as a spare, because the 60 clone is a, what model is that? 250407. This is a 250425, and the 250407 does not use an 8701. Alright, and we are back up and running with a C64 V2 blue screen with the right amount of RAM and everything. Let's get this thing back in the case and plug the keyboard in and see what kind of fun we can have with that. Alright, so case bottom. And where's the case top? How do you lose a Commodore 64 keyboard? Huh, that's how you lose it. So, when you have a machine sitting like this, it's kind of hard to tell that it's two tops and not a top and a bottom. I'm looking right at it, wondering where it is. It's right there, right in front of my face. Alright, number 8. Let's plug in the keyboard LED. Plug in the keyboard itself. Okay, we are all adjusted back over in front of the screen. Let's give her a go. Power button on. Black screen, good. There it is. Screen doesn't look too bad either. 64K system, 38911 bytes free. Let's check out the keyboard. 10, print, can't spell. Woo! She's doing her thing. Awesome. Let's do list. Oh, it's almost like it was made to fit. Alright, so this is machine number 8. This is the second C64 that Mr. Don Diagidio has donated to the channel, and there she is in all my very poor camera work mounted to a tripod job that I can do. Alright, so we got this one up and running again with lots and lots and lots of casualties of war, but she's up and running, so that is awesome. Okay, we got some desk space back. Let's do some bad parts inventory. Moss 8701, down for the count. A Moss variety, Moss branded LS708, broken, battered, legs missing, down for the count. Color RAM, down. MT RAM, MT RAM, MT RAM, MT RAM, MT RAM, and MT RAM. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 8 chips were bad for RAM chips. And that is the lineup. The gore, the death, the destruction that has been left behind by, I guess, Mother Nature at this point, by time. So that is all of those. Now I gotta order some spares to get all of those replaced, and back at it. Okay, fellers, that wraps up a pretty tough repair job. And what I want you to kind of take away from this video is, number one, you can do it. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it. And number two, the machine just kind of talks to you. You just got to pay attention to what it's saying and then go search online or reach out to some friends or something else like that. There's a lot of experience with these machines out there. And they're really fun to repair because you got to kind of chase this thing down and figure out what's going where and put a little effort into it and think, like the problem with the color RAM. There's no color on the screen. Maybe there's something that's not storing the color data. And that's really specific to Commodore 64s and the way that they're built. But at the same time, it's a thing to notice that there's no color on the screen and then do something about it. So what I did was I turned it on. I saw there was no color. I looked for Commodore 64, no color. I know that color RAM's a thing because I've heard it talked about enough times. And finally, I just had to figure out what chip was the color RAM and then replace it with a spare. So as I mentioned in the video, it's really useful to have a spare machine around that you can swap parts back and forth with. Even in this case, if it's a 250407 and a 250425, there are enough similar parts that you can deal with that. So, you know, in your troubleshooting on Commodore 64s, what you'll wind up with is a machine with zero screen at all. Okay, there's something wrong in the video area. A machine that has what we call a black screen, which is where it's sending a signal out to your monitor, but there's nothing in the signal. That's usually something farther down the line than the VIC, the video interface chip, not working. Typically, for Commodore 64s, that's a PLA problem. So first thing you do is replace the PLA. The dead test cartridge is pretty invaluable because it will boot up with almost nothing in the machine. So you can take out both CIAs. The CIA is the complex interface adapter. So the CIA controls the keyboard or it controls the I/O ports, and each of them has a time of day clock in it. It doesn't have any battery backup, so it doesn't remember the time when you turn the machine off, but it does keep time when the machine is on. So things like that won't work if those chips are missing, but the machine itself will work. All three ROMs can be taken out. Your character ROM, your kernel ROM, and your basic ROM can be taken out because the dead test cartridge has enough ROMs on it to put characters on the screen and display data and boot up into its own thing. The CPU obviously can't be removed, and have the machine work. I mean, you can remove it and put a different one in, obviously. But these are things that you should be able to notice, you know. So I boot up the dead test cartridge and it's got two clocks at the bottom of the screen, and those two clocks don't keep the same time. I've got two devices inside the machine that have clocks in them. One of them must not be working. And so you pull it out, and now you can determine whether or not that thing's working or not. So it's really a matter of applying the scientific method and doing some basic troubleshooting. And what I want you to take away from this is you got this. So thanks for being awesome.